Another day has arrived, and we are still in the same place of disarray. Hope is in the distance. I can see a tiny glimpse of light, just a tiny, tiny light. It is there, I know it. I can feel it in my heart. I have prayed for it for oh so long. I know that it is coming our way. Tomorrow may not arrive. Yesterday has gone, but this I know. Today is gonna turn out just right. Colonel Chris is a ray of sunshine. He has arrived just in time to keep that tiny light in the horizon still burning bright. Our prayers are being answered, so don't despair. Someone we can trust, which has been a long time coming when our hopes were shattered. He is that tiny bright light in the distance. Tomorrow may not arrive. I can feel it in my heart. I have prayed for it for oh so long. I know that it is coming our way. Tomorrow may not arrive. Yesterday has gone, but this I know. Today is gonna turn out just right. Colonel Chris is a ray of sunshine. He has arrived just in time to keep that tiny light in the horizon still burning bright. Our Colonel Chris is a ray of sunshine. He has arrived just in time to keep that tiny light in the horizon still burning bright. Our prayers are being answered, so don't despair. Someone we can trust, which has been a long time coming when our hopes were shattered. He is that tiny bright light in the distance.
Well, this is for all the Bulls fans out there. All the Bulls fans in a miracle victory today.
When the rain comes down, it don't mean drown. Just grab your boots and dance around.
Little Calfoot's hooky.
A little mud never hurt so. It's how we grow, yeah, it's how we roll.
The sun's hiding, but it ain't gone. Keep your heart turned on, turned on.
Keep smiling, keep shining when the storm tries to steal your song. Keep smiling, keep climbing till the dark clouds that don't belong. Oh, misery won't stay where joy is strong. is strong.
Well, good morning, good evening to everyone around the world. Welcome back. This is Chris live in central Pennsylvania for Night Owls. I realize it's morning shot, no pun intended, for folks on the other side of the world. Welcome back to the program. Well, Bulls fans have to be going, whew, my goodness. Talk about an escape. While I was busy at the orthopedic surgeon this afternoon, the Bulls pulled out a lucky one here with a misconversion at the end. They win the game 28-27. Ooh, baby. Yeah, Sebastian Leclerc was the man of the match, if I'm not mistaken. I caught the end of that game as it literally ended, so that was something else. I was like, whoa, it comes down to this. What a game, what a game. Well, a win on the road is a win on the road, and you'll take them any way you can get them. The Bulls move back into contention at 3-1, 14 points on the log. Stormers yet to play tomorrow, and they're now in second place after today's results as Cardiff moves ahead of Cardiff. The old Cardiff Blues now in first place in URC. Right, folks, let's say hello to everybody and see what's going on here. Who's in the chat? Lots of stuff happening today. Trump said no to tomahawks for Ukraine. Yay! No tomahawks for Ukraine. Good Lord. What kind of stupid idea was that? The Republicans rumors are going to cave on the Obama subsidies. Even as Democrats and the Washington Post finally admit that this mess was created by the Democrats and Obama. Yeah. And we'll see if they cave. There's talk on the Hill that they're going to cave. And what else? Zelensky came to town. He didn't get his tomahawks. He leaves without his toys. I guess I can't kill more Russians. Shame. And more things happening around the world. The Venezuelans are panicking. They mobilize their military. The militia driving up to the shore, waiting for the Americans to arrive. Oh, no, the gringos are coming. Yes, the gringos are coming. No gringos are coming. Just don't send your cocaine boats into the water because they will be sunk. They'd be like, you sunk my battleship. No, I sunk your drug running ship. Look at this, folks. No Starbucks, no sugar, no caffeine. Where is Arctic? He's the one that seems to think that sugar and caffeine are what drive and fuel me. Nope, I'm inured to those things, folks. I'm inured to them. Xavier Grayling is here at the outset. CB, Dogzilla. Sorry, CB. Jean-Andre Rudolph signed with the Bulls, so one more cheetah gone. That's a shame. Dogzilla, welcome to you from Seattle. Cherry. Regina Fourie. Good morning from Joe Group 5:02 a.m. By the way, last night I talked about when the daylight savings times come and I'll be able to do my stream at 10 in the evening. Somebody complained, well, I expect us to watch at 4 o'clock in the morning. This is a global program. There are people in New Zealand, in Japan, in the Asia Pacific region, in Europe, in Africa, in North America watching this program. I mean, seriously. Am I supposed to make it at 10 o'clock for everybody? That means I'd be on 24 hours a day. I mean, I know I can do long live streams, but that's a pretty long live stream, 24 hours a day. No, pay attention to what I said. The United States will fall back on November 2nd. So the time distance between the U.S. and South Africa will now be 7 hours. And briefly, it will be 7 hours with Germany until Germany also falls back. Actually, I think they fall back ahead of us. So it's 5 hours. Then it becomes 6 again. But South Africa will be 7 hours. Germany will be 6 hours. UK will be 5 hours. UK will briefly be away from us for a week too. So it just makes it complicated for me. But I don't change my time. It's the same bat channel, same bat time. My broadcast, as I've always said, is tied to the time in South Africa. Always. And I don't know any American broadcaster that makes that commitment. Maybe there are others out there. I don't know. But you guys know that there's Arctic right there. You are watching. Ekwachao. Oh, I got you, Arctic. Yeah, so if you have 100,000 subscribers on YouTube, you are in the top 1%. You're a 1%er. 1%er. I wish my bank statement said that, but no, I'm a 1%er on YouTube. So, wow, thank you all for that. Impossible without your help. I mean, I can't put 100,000 subscriptions in there. My hands would melt. I couldn't create that many fake accounts. I'm not like one of these lefties that just keeps creating fake accounts. Sean Velkermund, welcome to you. Carol Ann. What else we got there? Husky7, how are you? Husky, did you get in touch with Charles? I mean, you've got the contact now. Alex, 44066 in OH10, Ohio. Jean Spence, welcome to you. Regina, I said that already. Who else we got there? Petrus Fundalinda, good morning from Uganda. Man, Uganda. Okay. How was Uganda? I like living in Uganda. Kabalagala was kind of a thing. You know, I actually didn't have a car for a while, so I used to walk from the embassy up the hill through Kabalagala at night because I would work late trying to figure out the place and get everything sorted when I first got there, and then walk home on past Tank Hill. Yeah, in Muyonga, whatever it's called. There's two districts in Kampala. They're almost the same name. Yeah, one of them's got the resort and the other one doesn't. Anyway, so yeah, I used to live up there, and I used to walk past through Kabalagala and listen to all the revelry and the music and people hanging out there at night until I got my car or my truck and showed up, and then I was able to DD mail right on past that. But you've got to go slow because people wander out in the street. Anyway, how is Uganda? I found it interesting. Bulls, but traffic is hideous. Bulls got it together nicely. Really enjoyed the game. Still plenty of unnecessary mistakes. Yeah, good improvement from last week. That's great, Xavier. I did watch the first half, and I skipped through the second half because I was short on time. Courtney McBride is here. Those of us who serve, we're in the less than 1%, Courtney. Very few Americans serve these days. Yep. Thank you for the $1.99 super chat. Appreciate that. And congratulations on your big day tomorrow or Sunday. I'm not sure which day it is, but congratulations to Courtney. Yeah. So, so look, I'm left-handed. That's a small percentage of the population. I have a rare blood type. I'm apparently 1%er for YouTube content creators, which I didn't even realize. And I'm one of the few people that serve in uniform. Add that and the fact that I'm devastatingly handsome, and just, ladies, where's the phone calls? Just kidding. Just kidding, folks. Anyway, Arctic, you see the energy's there, man. No Starbucks. No caffeine. Anyway. And last night, people weren't listening. The $5.50 was because Steenkamp added $50 to the pot. Arctic committed $500. Steenkamp committed $50 to the pot. So it was $5.50. That's what I was talking about. And I even called that out, but people weren't listening last night. Right. Christopher, listening and learning. What are you learning, man? Okay. Naomi, what's going on? Amanda Lowe, Xavier Grayling, Janet Liddy, Regina Faree. By the way, so I saw my, but the osteopathic, is that right? Osteopathic? It's not, certainly not obstetrician, osteopathic doc today. Yeah. Anyway, whatever kind of doc he is. You can look at the x-ray. He said, you can see the arthritis, you can see the damage here. It's just going to get worse. He said, but I'm a doctor. I don't treat x-rays. You can see the x-ray. I can see the x-ray. I treat patients. And so if you want to try to manage this, we can do that. But I need an MRI. He's concerned I might have a muscle tear, and that's a legitimate concern. I've been a little concerned about that too. I can't tell, but you need a magnetic resonating image to do that. So now, of course, I have to make sure that I have an authorization. Otherwise, I'll get hit with a $1,000 bill I have to pay just for a picture of my damn butt and my hip. So, so I've got to take care of that on Monday because, of course, they're not open on the weekend. Typical. And it's a private company, so it should be taken care of. But anyway, so I got to do that. And then I've got another appointment to go back in later on. So I also have a sports medicine appointment, so I'm going to see a sports medicine physician and see what their thoughts are on this. But it's funny because for months I have not been able to bend down and tie my right shoe. I have to bend my leg outward like that and lean in. The other leg I can bend over and tie it just fine. Today, it's like when you take your car to the shop. You take your car to the shop, and there's a noise, right? You hear a noise, you take it and you go, listen, here's the noise. Let me drive around with you for a minute. Okay, I swear there was a noise. There was a problem. I heard it all day yesterday. It's been going on for a week. But the mechanic hears nothing. Well, today, he took my leg, bent it outwards and bent it inwards, twisted it up. He was surprised the inward motion. I had that much inward motion, but obviously there's it catches going the other way. So... And the leg is weak because it's not been getting full exercise like the other leg does. And I can feel it. I noticed getting up is a challenge because you try standing on one leg. Not so easy. Anyway, so then I bent down to tie my shoe to. So I can't even reach my shoe. And I can reach my shoe. I was like, he laughed. He goes, yep, it's just like when you take your car in the shop. Anyway, but obviously he knows the problem. He can see it between the x-ray and physically examining. Regina for you. But so the guy said to me, he said, okay, so here's the deal. And I said, okay, I got a question for you. How do you make sure that I don't wind up shorter on one leg than the other? How do you make sure they're the same length? I mean, you're cutting out part of my femur and you're replacing it with titanium and this plastic ball that gets shot up into a socket that you rearrange. How do you ensure that I'm the same height and I'm equal on both sides? He said, well, see here, let me show you. Let me draw a line across here this way. I said, whoa, draw a line? dude, you better get a laser rangefinder out here. We're talking about precision stuff here. I don't want the part that's close enough to the right size. I mean, if they come in 4 sizes, don't give me the one you think fits. I want a custom-made body part. I mean, look, if Steve Austin can get a $6 million repair, I want at least a good, decent repair here. None of these, okay, well, that one looks like it'll fit. No, 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 no. I want the part custom-made. Otherwise, I'm out. I'm out. I'm out. No, 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 no. Oh, listen to Arctic. They measure Arctic's ego and divide by 10, and they take his aviator's license away. Look at that. Courtney says, my baptism tomorrow will be an outward expression of my inward conversion to Christianity. Well, congratulations to you. I have nothing but respect for people of faith, Courtney, and it's awesome to hear that you found that in your life once again. $5 super chat. Awesome for me. Thank you so much for that, Courtney. Appreciate that. Yeah, it's a big day for Courtney tomorrow, folks. Give him a little love there. Courtney's been with us a long time. Strange journey with Courtney. I mean, when he first came on the channel, I'm like, wait a second. This guy's like 40-something. He's like a junior listed in the Navy. Something fishy going on here. And look at all this leftist nonsense he's dribbling here. I mean, I think we're getting trolled again. But no, it was a real person. Really his situation. He joined the Navy late in life. Well, not late in life, but late in a sailor's life. And yeah, and he's a real guy. He's a real deal. No, it wasn't a chiropractor. It's an orthopedic surgeon. That's what I was trying to say. Orthopedic surgeon. Yeah, you got osteopathic. You got obstetricians. I definitely don't need an obstetrician. No, an orthopedic surgeon. That's what I saw. Yeah, so I'm like, dude, no. Don't be drawing lines on my X-ray. That's not how you're going to cut my bone out. You're going to cut my femur. You're going to cut the bone in there, and you're going to no. Let's get out millimeters. I want you to use the same thing we use to fire artillery rounds. We measure in mils, 3,600 mils in a circle, not 360 degrees. No, dude. I want precision here. And then when you bang it in my femur, I don't want to be walking like this, with this leg shorter than the other one, or up like this. Come on. You got none of this Quasimodo stuff. Want to be just even like this. This is, it's my leg, okay? It's not your leg. I want it to work properly. Anyway, so since Dogzilla started watching this channel, he realized how wrong he was. Look at that. Look at that admission by Dogzilla. Since he started watching this channel, he realized just how wrong he was. Well, that's awesome, Dogzilla. It's conversion therapy is real. It works. We can convert you from demonic leftist ways to the true light, centrism or center-rightism. It's a great thing. And the good news is we're not a faith. We're not a church. We're not demonically possessed by climate change and other crazy things. We are conservationists who respect the planet and treat it with reverence and restore it. But we use it. We don't reserve it for, stale darters and non-existent species of, wombats. Yeah, so... Billy Painter. Is it Billy Painter? Billy, what's going on? The Bearded Patriots. Billy, got those 2 smokes, man. I didn't get a chance to smoke them out in Wyoming. That was my intent with the cool mountain air. But you don't want to smoke alone. When you smoke a cigar, it's better when you're doing it around somebody. That's the whole point of it. So I've still got them. I haven't had a chance to smoke them. Hopefully I will get around to smoke at least one of them. Anyway, but I don't smoke in my house. I'm not going to do that. But the crisp, cool fall air for me is a perfect time. I also don't have a cutter, so I'm going to have to, snip it to cut the end off there. So, yeah, nope. Billy gave me 2 cigars when I was out in the mountain states. Billy, what's going on, man? How's it going? Anybody watching John B. Wells lately? I haven't seen that program in some time. They usually invite me on. In fact, earlier this year, I was probably on there like 15 times when they needed a fill-in. Haven't been on in a while. I'm not jockeying to go on there. It's a big time commitment for me to do that. And they usually do it on short notice. They say, can you fill in? And yeah, but I haven't been on for some time. So they must be having no trouble getting their guest on there. Going well out there. Good to hear. You watched John B. Wells this morning. Okay, cool, CB. Arctic says, I'll smoke in your house, and it'll be the last thing you ever do. Arctic forgot that we be armed in these here parts. You're now convinced that Trump is a king. No, Trump is not a king, and you can have your no King's Weekend nonsense. Helped me change my life for the better. I was 32 years old when I enlisted in the Navy Reserve. I'm just, okay, cool. Well, that's awesome, Courtney. I didn't realize you were 32 when you did that. Cool. And thank you once again for your service, Courtney. I really appreciate it. He's on right now doing his Naked Lions Friday program. Okay. I think Dog's split personality has chosen the correct path. Yeah, I just realized that if I if I'm asked to go on John B. Wells again because I'm doing this night thing, that's probably how long it's been since I've been on this program. Because although I think he asked me to do it when I was in England, I'm trying to remember. Anyway. Yeah, Del Mar, not serious. That's a very serious issue to me. I'm cutting my leg out, taking my bone. Nature and God gave me that bone. I have 180,000 years of DNA evolution providing that bone in that socket. But nature and evolution did not plan on me landing on that hip joint on black ice in Germany in early 1985. It was late 1985. Yeah, no, that wasn't in God's plans. It wasn't in my plans either. So yeah. Anyway, so no. That's my people got the hell out of Africa a long time ago. You South African refugees are getting out of Africa now, but my people said, the hell with this. They were out there marching around on the savannah in East Africa, somewhere near the Ngorongoro crater, and like, damn, it's hot here. And these lions are a pain in the ass, man. So, one day they kept walking. They let's get away from this, kept walking further and further, and they're going towards the sun. They must have thought, the sun is what brings us all the joy in life. Let's walk towards the sun. So every day they walked towards the sun. Thankfully, they didn't follow it in the afternoon. They just followed it in the morning. And they kept going east. Eventually, they wound up in this body of water. And because it was a global climate area when it was colder and the polar ice caps were bigger and more glaciation was taking place, the oceans had receded somewhat, and they could see these little dots in the water. And like, hey, we can get all the way over there. Come on, guys. So screw this. Let's leave these lions behind and these other marauding idiots who are harassing us. They went across, they hopped and skipped on these little rocks, and they made their way to a place we call Yemen today. They got on the other side and like, damn, it's no better over here than it was over there. It's hot. It is seriously hot over here. So over time, they decided to head north. They already tried this east thing. They want to go west, so they went north. And eventually they wound up in the mountains, in the Caucasus. And there were saber-toothed cats. And damn, this is dangerous too. But as this happened over generation after generation, they had less exposure to the sun. And they developed lighter complexions. And then they ran into these other hominids, which today we call Neanderthals. Neanderthals, as you say in German. She looks pretty good. And next thing you know, out pops little Neanderthal Homo sapien baby. Anyway, they took their clan and they decided to go west because they already tried east. It didn't work. They tried north. It got cold. So they went west. This time they went west, worked their way into what is today Europe. And the further they went, things got better. Lots of food, lots of resources. Fewer of these saber-toothed cats, apparently. And then they kept going north. And next thing you know, about 10,000 years ago, I don't know, what's 10,000 years ago? That must be a few hundred generations. There was a mutation. Something didn't go quite right. And guess what? Blue eyes appeared. Blue eyes. And suddenly whoa, she's super sexy. Check her out. Super sexy. Blue eyes, blonde hair. I'm in love. Come here, baby. Come here. Anyway, so light hair, light complexion, blue eyes. But they weren't crying in the rain. And next thing you know, there you have it, folks. There you have it. Elijah Muhammad's story on the evolution of white people is very laughable. Don't know that one. What a beautiful comical history. What sound did they make during sex? We have been able to record Neanderthal Homo sapien pairings mating sounds. We found it. Yes, there were some old monochrome tapes that we found in the Caucasus Mountains. You have to forgive me. I've been listening to this comedian, Leonardo. Oh, my God. She is so wicked, man. She's so wicked. She pulls all these people up on a stage, a live show. All these men she's talking to. She says, you, sir, what do you do for a living? He says, I'm a photographer. That's gay. What the heck? What? It's all you men out there with allergies. That's gay. What? Anyway, she's funny, man. I really enjoyed listening to her. She's hilarious. No politically correct comics, man. And I love it. This is all on YouTube. Good stuff. Oh, Clan of the Cave Bear. I love that. And that's what you had. You had Neanderthals and Homo sapiens. Yeah. Yeah, that was Daryl Hannah, wasn't it? Yep. I think it was Daryl Hannah. The blessing the rain has arrived. Ooh, creaky beds. But bed wasn't making the sound, Charles. It was the hip joint. Squeaky hip. And who said they hate to be the doctor that treats me? Come on. Hey, Nikki. Yeah, they didn't fall off the edge. Yeah, no, they fall. Guys, look, I mean, I do genealogy. I've told you that. And in my history, I have ancestors that women that were in their late 40s, we're talking about 300 or 400 years ago, in their late 40s bearing a child. A couple of cases, it was the only child the woman ever had. Without that child, I wouldn't be here. And of course, the famous one, of course, is my ancestor, Sir Thomas Wyatt, who led a rebellion against the crown over Catholicism and Protestantism. He led an army of about 10,000 they raised in Kent and marched on London. By the time he got to London, it was down to about 5,000. They were easily defeated by the crown's forces. He was captured, imprisoned in the Tower of London, and beheaded. At the age of 34. The good news is he had already produced progeny. He had a son. And his son, the Wyatt family, became rehabilitated later on. And, of course, the first royal governor of Jamestown Colony of Virginia is Sir Francis Wyatt, my 17th great uncle. Courtney gave another $2, and this one's for ever see the film 10,000 BC. I have, but Clan of the Cave Bear is much better. Uganda great time for heading. Okay, Petrus, be careful when you get back home. I hear it's dangerous in South Africa. Rumor has it. I don't know. We've got some refugees coming in there. By the way, folks, I had another refugee conversation today and dispelling more rumors. Today, we talked to a 69-year-old lady who is living in Virginia and living her best life, according to her. So, yeah, I'm looking for jobs, and she's all excited and starting all over. And her daughter's here with her. So, and then Letitia's sister popped in the chat. I wasn't going to say some of these things, but she came in and doxed and said, I'm her sister. God, we weren't going to do that. Blair Witch. Being a photographer is super gay, says Nikki. I thought that was being a hairdresser. Wasn't that movie Shampoo with, what's his name? Warren Beatty? Anyway, Phoenix says the interview was great. Well, thank you. I enjoyed it too. Chinese ladies have kids right up until menopause. Just got to be careful of Down syndrome. Wonky tadpoles aren't great either. True. All should do some research, reference geology and heraldry. Good genealogy. Yeah, good to know where we originate from. And Will is booked to be on with John and in a month from now. Will who? It's So Yesterday. What's So Yesterday, Nikki? That movie? Clan of the Cave Bear. Yeah, Clan of the Cave Bear. Good stuff. Oh, Will in Twin Falls. Oh, he's going to be on John B. Wells? Wow. That's interesting. Yeah, I don't call him Will. I call him Willem. Look at Dogzilla being all nice tonight. What's in your Kool-Aid, man? Somebody put something in his coffee. Are you drinking Irish coffee tonight, Dogzilla? I almost don't recognize you. It's like somebody hijacked your account. Mel Gibson, Bird and Wire. Yeah, no, that was an okay movie. Oh, no, Nikki saying being a photographer. Yeah, I guess, but I always thought it was the hairdresser thing that was there. So, yeah, genealogy. Let me go look at my genealogy real quick. Yeah, it's Leonardo Joni. She is hilarious, man. She is hilarious. So I think I probably logged out again because this stupid thing. Yeah, I'm logged out again. Damn it. It's very annoying. Taking a long time. They want to text message me. Come on. This is so irritating. I appreciate the security measure, but when your damn browser logs you out of every frickin' account you're logged into, it's really annoying. There it is. Oh, okay. Let's see. Okay. Cool beans. In the old days, that was a telephone. You'd be able to tell what number based on the rings. Wait. The rotary phones. Oh, I'm back in. Back in the saddle again. So let me go to my DNA. Your results summary. Ancestral regions. Yeah, they keep updating it. That's 8 new regions. Oh, bull. That's nonsense. Can't have 8 new regions. Matches. Jerry, my brother. Yes, he is my brother. Well done, Ancestry.com. You've identified my brother. Ooh, it says 9% of my DNA comes from Denmark. Ooh, check that out. 9%. Oh, some Danish, man. Yeah, I already knew that. The biggest update ever. We're excited to introduce 68 new updated European regions. Oh, that's interesting. Wow, this has changed quite a bit. Oh, check this one out. Okay, next. Celtic and Gaelic, macro regions. Well, I got that. So for me, it breaks down to Central Scotland, Northern Ireland, 24% DNA. Donegal, 5%. And Connacht. Oh, Connacht, Galway, tonight. Or was that tonight? Yeah, that was tonight. It was the Bulls, yeah. Okay. Okay, and England, southeastern England, northwestern Europe, 12%. I knew that. That's from Kent. Northeast England, 7%. West Midlands, 7%. East Midlands, 4%. Western Europe, southern Germanic. Well, of course, the northeast England. I've got Scotland on there, so it doesn't show that. But yeah, Scotland is on there. Western Europe, southern Germanic Europe, 17%. Northwestern Germany, 8%. The Netherlands, 5%. See, this is much more. I know I have Danish ancestry. I know that I have Scots ancestry. I know that I have Netherlands. And some of these tests had not shown that previously, so they'll update it. Denmark, 9%. Ooh, baby. Updated on October 2025. Cool beans. Well, they found a potential ancestor for me. So here you go, folks. I'm going to show you where my ancestry is. My ancestry. Come on, I don't want that. There we go. Okay, here, I can do this without revealing things. Let's do this. Okay, cool beans. Check it out. There's my map. There's where my peeps be from. My peeps, that's where I come from. Yep. The Great Wyatt Empire started in Switzerland, Austria, Bavaria, Northern Germany, Netherlands, Denmark, and Norman France, as well as United Kingdom, Ireland. Celt, Germanic, Viking. Yeah, bo. What are my thoughts on No King's Protest? When I think about No King's Protest, it's their right to peacefully assemble and seek redress from their government. I don't know what their redress are seeking. President Trump is not a king. He doesn't behave like a king. His predecessors did. Barack Hussein Obama extrajudicially murdered American citizens without a trial in Yemen. Barack Obama started 4 wars without consent of Congress. Joe Biden ignored federal courts' decisions over and over again, acted like an autocrat. So I really don't know what they're protesting through King's protest. They just hate Trump. They're just nasty, evil, spiteful, bum-hurt people. So, but it's their privilege as long as they behave themselves to be not to cause disruption. They can protest as long as they have a permit to do what they're doing that. Wow, that's a great history of ancestors. I saw a documentary on Titanic reminded me that my friend's son discovered their ancestor was infamous. Oh, really? Wow, Captain Smith. Well, I don't know if he was infamous. I don't know if that's fair. So I logged into YouTube today. I saw my heritage was made. Some new DNA advance. Senator Hawley was drilling. Trying to me again over retaining some of their clients' DNA to the next prospective purchaser. 23andMe is bankrupt. They've been brought out of bankruptcy by someone who bought them, so I don't know what's going on with that. Always encourage South Africans to come here. Forget the silly political swipes. 99% of the whole country is friendly and safe. No, it's not true, Dogzilla. It's not 99% of the country. 99% of the people are wonderful, but 99%, no, there's nowhere safe in South Africa. Brett Kebble was assassinated in broad daylight, multiple gunshot wounds in Sandton, outside the mall, broad daylight. Former President F.W. de Klerk's wife was beaten, raped, and murdered in her residence. Nobody's safe in South Africa. Except Johan Rupert, who leaves his windows open at night. No, that's not. Tragedy strikes everywhere, all the time. Everybody. It's not confined to the townships. It's not confined to rural areas and farms. It's everywhere. It's a dangerous place, and you have to have your spidey sense about you all the time. And if you don't, you become a statistic. Vito in Denmark is Wyatt in England. Vito, not veto, Vito. W-I-D-O. That would be how you'd spell it, Vito, in Denmark. Yep. Talk about cigars. Client gifted me a Don Diego Major. Back in the day, could spoil myself with a shot of Remy. Ooh. And Chris Wyatt stormed the lawn outside of Congress. I didn't storm anything. What are you talking about? I've got the video evidence to prove otherwise. The purpose. What do they think they'll accomplish? I don't know, Namie. They're just people like they're welcome to protest. It's their prerogative. Do you use Zelle? Yeah, my bank, my business account and my personal account. I think they both do Zelle. I don't think I've ever used it, but they do it. My born name, Mostart Masterton, military man. Okay, or naughty child living on attention. Yeah, that's what it is, naughty children. This is a big update here for Ancestry.com. It's massive. Let me get a picture of that bad boy. I want to save that for my Ancestry Origins. That's pretty cool. There we go. That most closely matches my research. Yeah, there's a few outliers and say like you've got this and that, but I mean this is. Let me see what this new ancestor is. Review for my tree. Julianne, 5th great grandparent. Yeah, it's pretty cool. A nice update. Your DNA doesn't change, but our knowledge of it does. As their data increases over time, your analysis improves, and we update your results. Yep. So the more people do it, the better their data. So I got a lot of news here, but I don't know if I'm going to get to this news here, folks. I want to go to my channel and find. Let me see if I can find this. 107. There it is. 5 January 2022. Let's see what this one was. I wound up putting this whole thing on there. Yeah, that was a promo. I did the whole thing. I did a whole hour on there. I'm going to get a copyright claim for that. The music was free. YouTube put it out there, and now they put copyright claims on. It's ridiculous. But that's not what I was looking for. That was not the one I was looking for. Let me try this. Jan 6th. There it is. January 6th, an eyewitness account. That's the one. Yep. So that's what I was looking for. A very normal neighborhood. Could take a walk around. Cool. Portia Heights, 66th. Every guy got held up at gunpoint when he stopped to deliver stuff. At least the local security apprehended him. That was Thursday. Yikes. Xavier says, 200% correct, Colonel. It is unsafe everywhere. Every second can be your last. Thus, no choice to be the best you can be the kindest you can be. Yep. All right. So this was an eyewitness account. I did this. Doesn't have many views. It has 356 views. Can you believe that? This is 3 years ago, because obviously YouTube is not going to promote this. But this is a video I did 3 years ago, and it was on the anniversary. I posted this on, only 356 views. Kevin Morris. I haven't seen Kevin Morris in a long time. Wow. There's Hendo. Yep, this is private for a long time. That's the video. That's Colorado, by the way. The Rocky Mountains out there. That photo right there. Good morning or good afternoon, wherever you find yourself today. Folks, welcome back to Chris Wyatt. It is the 6th of January, 2022. This is a special broadcast covering the events that took place on the 6th of January, 2021. Well, welcome back to the program, folks. It's a pleasure to have you join me today. I hope that you find yourself well wherever you may be around the world. And of course, once again, with such a momentous date in mind, I am wearing traditional American colors of red, white, and blue, just in a different fashion today. And this one is an Izod pullover, or as they say in German, or sweater, as we say here. I go near DC, it's just going to be a headache, it's going to be trouble. And actually that day, I nearly turned around twice because traffic was just so crazy in the crowd. And that's what you'll see. You make your own analysis and make your own conclusions about the events on January 6th. Do you see people with firearms? Do you see people with explosives? Do you see people with sticks and pickaxes, tar and feathers? You do not. You do not. The world has been fed a lie, and this video refutes that lie. If you're not a subscriber, please become one by smashing the button down below. Cheers. Thanks a lot, folks. January 6, 2021 on the National Mall.
Hey folks, Chris here, live on the mall, Washington, D.C. When you see this, it won't be live. Either data suppression from T-Mobile or YouTube, one of the two, as people start to gather on the mall, right between the Smithsonian museums on each side of me here. And I see some rather unpolite language for Biden back there on the flag. But directly behind me here, as I spin around, is the nation's capital, where the weak, callow members of the House and the Senate today will most likely vote to enshrine the plagiarist in chief as the next president of the United States. But here we are in the mall, and I just thought I'd give you a little bit of update since obviously YouTube and or T-Mobile are suppressing the network connection. I had a perfect connection 2 miles from here. I was able to live stream, but now I can't. Well, let me take you around and show you a little bit what's going on, folks. Quite a few people starting to gather here. The president's supposed to speak in less than an hour here on the mall in Washington, D.C. See the Washington Memorial right there.
All right, so I've turned the volume down because I'm going to get a copyright claim by these clowns. This is early in the morning. It's 10 o'clock, my first arrival. I was trying to live stream here, and you see the Capitol building behind me, the distance there. Lots of people arriving, very peaceful, well-behaved, no issues going on here. None of the lies that later come about. I got to keep moving myself around because I'm walking on the screen. Yeah, so there was a big stand there. People, lots of vendors, a lot of black guys selling T-shirts and caps and things. It was impressive. The well-behaved crowd. Nobody was shouting racial epithets. No racism whatsoever. Black, white, Hispanic, Asian, mostly white folks. But then remember, folks, when people try to tell you that, oh, look, there's a Hispanic lady behind you. It's all white people. Well, 76% of America's population is white, so it should hardly be a surprise that white folks would show up primarily. 3 out of 4 people, all things being equal, should be white in this crowd, just being general speaking. That's the Smithsonian buildings around me. The African American History Museum is up there in the right-hand corner now where you see the people carrying the flag. A lot of F. Biden flags. I try to avoid that, but that's the African American History Museum over there, given the most prominent position as if 13% of the population is the most important part of the country. African American history is critical to America's history, and African Americans, black Americans, played a key role in the development and the growth of this country. But the fanaticism associated with that museum is disgusting and vile, and it's quite turns people off. The people who enter that building, the vast majority of them know nothing about the history of America, let alone the contribution of African Americans in this country, just a bunch of racial sycophants. By contrast, the Native American Museum, which is rather disappointing. I've never been in this museum, by the way, because every time I've gone, there's too many people in line because, you know, you got to do it. You're here. So people just go out of a sense of obligation. Some go for their racist beliefs. Others go because they want to learn about African American contributions to our history. But the Native American Museum was given a far less prominent position on the opposite end just before the Capitol building. And that museum is quite frankly very lame. I've been there a couple of times, very disappointing. I expected far more. The displays are very weak. I hope that in that African American History Museum, the displays are far more. I walked around the entire center of Washington, D.C. that morning, and that's all we saw. That's all we saw. Feel free to comment or ask questions, folks, as we go along. This is there so they could get in to see the president. The Washington Post is trying to take that security measure used by the Secret Service to keep president safe as an argument that insurrectionists were there that day. It's vile. It's disgusting. It's a lack of intellectual integrity. Yes, Robin, of course they're talking about this. It's the anniversary. It's 1 year. They're now using it. That is not a gun, by the way. That's a phone, in case anybody's wondering. It looked like a sidearm for a moment. Of course they're talking about it because now they're trying to use a clause in the 14th Amendment to disenfranchise and remove members of the Republican Party. But the nonsense going on is outrageous. Trump's talking here. Yeah, there was talk of removing the Jeff. This is, I went throughout the crowd. I walked all over the mall because I was there as a journalist documenting and recording the events. Not as a partisan supporter, not as an interested party, not as an American citizen, but as a journalist for my audience so that you got facts. And this is real footage. Here we go.
Quite a crowd gathered.
I have to put on mute because this is where last year when I played this, I got a copyright claim for that music playing in the background. Do you believe the bullshit on this platform? It's not copyright. I'm in the public space. I can't control when people play music. Just like when I played Dion Gerber's video, because he had his car radio on, I was accused of copyright violation and they attacked my video. Now look, see all these bags right here? You see this? Look at these people snaking, trying to get in to see the president. That's the ellipse right there. This right here, the Washington Compost is claiming that that pile of bags is evidence that there was an insurrection. See this? People are abandoning because you cannot go in for security around the president. The Secret Service will not let you go in with those bags. So these bags are evidence of an insurrection. This is not the Capitol building. This is Constitution Avenue. This is where the president's at. Now you'll see people walking on the right-hand side in an open space there in a snake line of a queue doing this. They're coming forward and they toss their bags here. They abandoned their personal items on the hope that someone wouldn't steal it and they'll be able to cover it. That's how desperate they were to hear the president of the United States speak. This has been turned into a fraudulent lie by the Washington Compost, which, by the way, I paid for a subscription yesterday. They're so desperate for subscribers, the Washington Compost, that they offer me 1 year of all access digital content for $10 US. Couldn't refuse that. So now I'll be bringing you more Washington Post articles because I can see them, which is great because it's all leftist garbage.
Yeah, so
dangerous
footage,
crowd.
actual footage.
All these evil people. There it is. Stop the steal. Yeah, that's what it was. Yeah, that's what the rally was called. Deplorables for Trump. Texas. There you go. Now, I show that flag, but that's not a one-off. And you'll see prominently at the front of what's happening at the Capitol building, dozens of LGBT crowd flags. Lots of homosexuals support Donald Trump because they know the lies said about him are simply lies. He doesn't have an issue with gay Americans. So what the heck is this? This is more nonsense. Sorry, my mobile's getting a call. So you can see the Washington Monument behind me there. I kept saying memorial. It's I meant to say monument. African American History Museum to the right. And you see I captured the crowd. That was the purpose of this. People of faith, homosexuals, white folks, black folks. Seven, the Congress meets at 1 o'clock. You can already see lots of people. To answer the question about the scaffolding, Mr. Punisher, you can see up there that they've got stands erected on both sides. That's for all the sycophants and the privileged elites to sit there for the inauguration that was due to take place on the 23rd of January. So they set this up for every inauguration. They put the tower up. But the issue here is, why is this tower set up before this rally and the Electoral College is even certified for the inauguration? This is a full 2 weeks before it needs to be set up, and they've set it up, which just makes me sniff and say, set up, set up, set up. Also, why was the crowd allowed to approach? This is not defended. This ground was not shut off in any way. People were given permits to protest here, and I'm walking up, and you'll see this is where they're protesting at. They're allowed to get up this close to the Capitol building, and then we're told there's an insurrection. If there's an insurrection, look, do you see any cops? There's some up above, but there's like 20 cops right there. 100 total. Here's more rushing over from one side to reinforce where these idiots are trying to cause trouble. Look at that tower. People are climbing up it. No security. It wasn't locked. It wasn't defended. It wasn't protected. It was established and set up, and they allow people to get above law enforcement. They are overtop the cops. This is intentional. This is abysmal. This guy has tear gas in his eyes because he was up there messing with the cops. They maced him.
It's a fucking shit show.
This doesn't really help our cause.
Doesn't really know, but God, I'm pissed off, man.
All right, you heard the guy say this is an effing crap show, and you're hearing me, if you listen carefully, saying this doesn't help our cause. This isn't how people are supposed to behave, and other people agreeing with me.
A phalanx back there behind the wall, and up there they've got rifles. So knock the stupid shit off.
That's me. That's me. As a law-abiding citizen, exhorting people to behave themselves. Now, those people pouring water are the ones who got maced by the cops. We heard the race merchant herself, the disgusting, vile racist Kamala Harris, claim that if black people had been president, they would have been treated differently in gas. See the journalist up there with his cameras? He's even got a press pass. Almost no cops out there. Do you see any riot gear? I don't see a single nightstick in use. This guy walking over and telling the journalist to move away, and the journalist moves away. These are supposed to be the barriers that stop people from coming up there? That's it. That's all they did. This is a joke. This is a joke. This is not an insurrection. Now, look around. See the people who got tear gas? They're the ones that were antagonizing the police. They should be arrested. Now, the rest of us got tear gas and CS and riot gas in our faces because they sprayed these troublemakers with it, and it blew across because the wind, you can see the direction the wind's blowing. Oh, look, a black man. Oh, I thought, oh, it's all white people. Mm-hmm. Yep. I've moved around and repositioned. Here's what's going on. Yeah, Anna Marie, I haven't heard the video, so I'm not going to play it. I mean, last time I did that, someone said play this, and I started getting lots of profanity after the fact. So I'm not going to play that right now. I'll play it afterwards, and if it's something I can use, I'll use it later today. Yeah, so this is what's going on. Now, people start throwing water bottles at the cops. This is an insurrection, throwing a plastic water bottle. It's inappropriate. It's wrong, but it's not an insurrection. Now, again, I see someone's got the flag upside down. That's a sign of distress up there. That's a political statement. I left before this crowd and some of the instigators in it started causing trouble. See the scaffolding? That's all for the inauguration. That's what they do every 4 years.
Dips.
Pulling barriers away.
Why the scaffolding? It's a virtual inauguration, you dips.
That was actually me, without using profanity, saying, why is there scaffolding? This was supposed to be a virtual inauguration. They weren't even supposed to be having an inauguration out there. Now, the police, now they've reinforced. They've brought some more. There are about 50 police officers there with a few hidden in the back, some up on the top in that round up there. That's it. That's it for 500,000 people. This is the police presence they put out there that day. Also notice there's no Jersey barriers. No Jersey barriers, folks. There's no physical barriers there. There are bicycle racks. The Capitol Police are wearing styrofoam, plastic helmets, not even riot gear. Many of them didn't even have sidearms. Can you imagine cops on the street without sidearms? What was that all about? Why did that happen? And why were they allowed to approach this close? Why were there no barriers put up there? Why did the Capitol Police issue 5 permits that day authorizing protests, including one to Alex Jones? 5 permits. Why did they do that? And why did they issue permits on both sides of the Capitol building? The other side, you have where one of our state senators, Doug Mastriano, was at, and then opposite is the Supreme Court. They issued permit to demonstrate there, and on this side, thereby forcing the Capitol Police to divide their forces in half. Nancy Pelosi is responsible for security. The Sergeant of the Arms works for the Speaker of the House of Representatives, who was there at the time, and it was her job to secure security for this. This security was a shit show. It was an absolute joke. There was no security. There was virtually no presence here. No armored vehicles, no snipers that were visible. No show of force. Putting a scaffold up, letting it be unlocked, and letting people climb on top of it, and the police put their defensive line behind that instead of in front of it. This is ridiculous. Red flags everywhere. A riot? Sure. To some degree, you can argue a riot when these people advance on the police after the barriers are pulled down and then people go in the building. Absolutely. You can make that argument, but it's a very peaceful riot in the scheme of things. Virtually no damage to the Capitol building, and no police were harmed despite the lies. The police officer who died after that didn't die that day. The only people who died that day were those who were there and entered the building illegitimately, like Ashley Babbitt and the woman who was up there at the door who was crushed and drug in there by the cops who failed to render assistance to her. But the whole thing stinks. This whole thing, and these people were stupid enough to fall for it. I didn't want to go to this event. I went there as a journalist. As you can see, I covered objectively as a journalist, reporting on it, telling people to behave themselves. Most 99.9% of the people behaved themselves before I left. And even if you take the few thousands of people who walked up onto the steps there who were wrong, and then about the 1,000 who went into the building, they were wrong, that doesn't negate the other 500,000 that were outside of the mall who behaved themselves and adhered to the law. Yeah. And they refused the National Guard. That's right. And Nancy Pelosi still denies it, but she's a liar. We have the documents to prove it. Riot gear. Do you see them wearing body armor? These cops aren't even wearing body armor. This was an intentional effort. Now, there's a journalist up there filming the... By the way, Parler, which was a private messaging application like WhatsApp, or not like Twitter, Parler notified the National Counterterrorism Center and the FBI on the day after Christmas, the 26th, that they were monitoring messages from people coming on their platform talking about doing things to cause chaos at this event on the 6th of January. On the 26th of December, or the 24th, Christmas Eve, I think is when they sent it to the FBI and the National Counterterrorism Center. And I believe it was on the 26th that the FBI wrote back, not the Counterterrorism Center, but the FBI wrote back to Parler, thanked them for their cooperation and asked for information about those accounts, which Parler provided. Then after January 6th, in all the bullshit going on with Democrats, Jeff Bezos and Amazon Web Services deplatformed Parler and destroyed that platform, falsely claiming that they facilitated the insurrection. They were the only messaging service that contacted the federal government and warned them of possible trouble on January 6th. Intentionally ignored by the FBI, intentionally ignored by the National Counterterrorism Center, intentionally ignored by Muriel Bowser, the mayor of D.C., and intentionally ignored by Nancy Pelosi and the Sergeant of Arms and the Capitol Police. Intentionally ignored. And then for their trouble in telling the government about this, to cover it all up, they deleted Parler from Amazon Web Services, violating the contract that they'd signed with Parler. There's no doubt that this was all a big scam, and people were stupid enough to do it, to get involved with it. Cops, another journalist, but there were clearly troublemakers. Some of them Trump supporters over the left-hand side there. Okay, this is the right side. Why would security be necessary? Dogzilla. You say you live near Seattle. Have you heard of the Capitol Hill Autonomous Zone? The actual insurrection took place in this country where thugs invaded a federal courthouse, occupied it, then spread their presence to a few blocks around that and declared their independent state, rejecting the authority of the state of Washington, the city of Seattle, the county of King, and the U.S. federal government. An actual insurrection. Why do they need armed? Why do we have a Capitol Police, Dogzilla? What a dumbass question. I mean, why have 2,800 Capitol Police officers if what's the point of having Capitol Police? There's always Capitol Police on the Capitol. Right now, there are Capitol Police there defending it right now on every street corner, at every entrance. What do you mean, why would there be armed security there? Have you ever been to a concert? Do you not have bouncers and security at concerts? Have you ever been to a hockey game? You been to a Kraken game? You never noticed there's security there? Come on, that's just silly. That's just silly. Rock concerts have more security than these people had. Go to a KISS concert. Go to an AC/DC concert. There's more security than these clowns had. Unbelievable. Dogzilla, you were doing so well. And then you just lost the plot. All right, now this is where the black guy, if we get to it, is trying. There's another black guy. Well, there's no black people here. Look at these idiots climbing up there. This is moronic. Why was this allowed to occur? And there's another scaffolding set, and they're climbing on that. Another gay pride. There's people throwing water bottles. Not acceptable. Yeah. Okay. Did you hear that horn? That air horn? Let me talk about this very briefly. At some point during this event, I looked around me and I started to notice, and you can see one of them in front of me here, people wearing Kevlar helmets, many of them painted black, people wearing goggles to keep irritants out of their eyes, some of them wearing body armor or what looked like body armor, hunting vest, and they were organized. They spread throughout this crowd and tried to incite people. And you can see a couple of them in the forward there with backpacks on, camouflage backpacks. They're trying to incite people to trying to get the crowd jazzed up. I don't know who they were. I don't know if they were Trump supporters, if they were Antifa, if they were, I don't know, AOC's boyfriends. I don't know. But their intention was, or they were federal agents, who knows. There were people there trying to incite the crowd. The crowd, for the most part, didn't bite, at least until I left there at about 2:25. They didn't incite. But at some point, that horn blew, and you start seeing them moving around from pre-positioned places to different spots. It's in the video. You just have to look. And then I heard them say, there's a door open on this side. And then someone blew a whistle, and like 20 of them just came out of nowhere out of the crowd and all flooded around to the south side of the Capitol building to break into there, apparently. Yeah, this is total chaos because they allowed it to be chaos. They allowed to be cast. And the proof of the pudding is then after this, the corrupt, illegitimate Biden regime then put fencing up around the Capitol building and prevented American citizens from seeing their own Capitol building for a year, and deployed National Guard, making them sleep in shit in a park garage and not feeding them in the cold, ignoring the troops, and putting them out there as if we lived in a third world country, denying Americans the opportunity to see their Capitol building for a full year. If they could put that security out, why did Nancy Pelosi put security like that out on January 6th, knowing full well that they had authorized 5 protests, that the Capitol Police had authorized 5 protests? What did they think was going to happen? Give me a break. Just bullshit. I haven't finished the word. I said dip.
The oath of office! You took it all! You defend the people!
This is at about 1:30 now. See the guy with the black helmet right in front of that megaphone? There's another one to the left. There's 2 at rucksacks in the front. These were instigators, agitators, intentionally in the crowd. There goes one right there. See him? See that? See that? So you see that guy walk by at the bottom right there with the helmet on? Here we go. There's one right there in front of the megaphone. You got a gray hoodie and then the guy with the black helmet. I didn't finish the word. I said dip. Here he comes. Get ready. There's one right there. Watch it. Here he comes. Hear the horn. Now watch from the left of the screen. About 1:30 now. There's one right there. Right there in the screen. If you go to the left-hand side, you got the red in the center, then a gray jacket. Look off to the northwest, and you see a black helmet there with a little red spot in front of it. That's one of them. Right there. See him? See that guy right there? See that guy right there? Right in the front of the screen, in front of the Stop the Steal sign. Goggles on, Kevlar helmet. Kevlar helmets aren't sold at Walmart, folks. Kevlar helmets, you can get them, military surplus, but they're not the easiest thing to gather. Yep. What a setup. Whole thing people fell for. How could a protester present evidence unless they were an official in an election? I mean, your question has no basis or merit to it whatsoever, Red Robin. I don't get it. I don't get it. If your point is then if they don't present evidence, they can't claim something, well, then tell Hillary Clinton to shut the fuck up. Macedonian server farms, she's still bitching about that 5 years later. Fraudulent fairy tale. No one's complaining about that. And many of these people weren't there about a stolen election. There's a cop beating somebody up there because he's pissed off. Look at this. By the Gadsden flag. He starts assaulting people, that cop, with no helmet on. They're wearing bicycle helmets. Yeah, that police officer who didn't have a helmet on came out. I saw him. I caught him on video. He came out. People were standing there peacefully. They hadn't done anything. And he just started punching people standing there. Just punching. Knocked one down, went over, started punching another one. He punched 3 or 4 people before they finally pulled him off the crowd. I mean, what is that? What is that? I mean, you're angry. I get it. But you have to have restraint. You can't just start beating members of the public. They haven't crossed that line, your pathetic little bicycle rack defensive position. Good Lord. These people, anyway. These cops aren't even wearing Kevlar. They're wearing bicycle helmets. It's ridiculous. Ridiculous. Yes, compared to the burn, loot, murder crowd, this is a Sunday school. Jonathan's making a claim that I have no evidence of. I do know that there were people that had nothing to do with Donald Trump. Look at this guy with a mask on. There's another one of these idiots that's put in there. Suddenly there were about 30 of these people I saw in the crowd. After about 15 or 20 minutes, they started showing up in different spots in the crowd. This idiot yelling there. Now you can see why I left after an hour and a half, because there was nothing happening here. Yeah, Anne Marie's defending me. I never. Oh, okay. I'll answer the question, right, Robin? Okay. What is? Here you go. So this. What does "Stop the Steal" mean? That was the slogan, and that was the name of the rally because many people there thought that the election was stolen. They thought. It's not their job to present evidence. It's their opinion. It's their view. If The View can spew their racial hatred and anti-Semitism every day, if members of Congress like Ilhan Omar and Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez and Ayanna Pressley can be anti-Semitic from the pulpit of the national Capitol, then ordinary American citizens can express their views about how they felt about this election. Now, none of them had to present any evidence. It wasn't about evidence. This is a constitutionally guaranteed right for citizens to freedom of assembly, to seek a right of redress over their grievances with the government. This was a grievance. The government was ignoring the citizens. That's why people showed up. That's what it's all about. Anne Marie's defending me. Yes, I never claimed the election was stolen. Never claimed. I was falsely accused of that by YouTube. Not a single statement I ever said the election was stolen. I reported anomalies in the state of Pennsylvania, and I questioned conduct in other states. Never made any such claim that anything was stolen. That's a fact. Not that Red Robin wasn't accused me of that. Just I think Anne Marie's just trying to defend me and try to be clear. So let's just continue.
January 6, 2020.
It's 2021. I
Capitol
misspoke.
Police are letting off flashbangs. People have been pushing up against the line. They're getting sprayed with pepper spray. Acting the fool. Not the best of ideas. You hear the flashbangs going off around me here as I spin around so you can see the Capitol building. It's an angry crowd. It's a mean crowd.
I was trying to do a Starship Troopers thing there. I'll do it in a second. Here we go.
Feel like I'm at Planet X. It's an ugly planet. It's a bug planet. Crazy stuff, folks.
Shut up. Somebody vaping there. There's some Hispanic Americans walking away. There's a black guy on the left with a law-abiding citizens obeying the law and following their constitutional rights. Do you see rubbish? No rubbish. No burned buildings. No toppled statues. No burned paintings. No assaults. No robberies. No rapes. No burning tires. This is the face of law-abiding citizenry. Not BLM, not Antifa. Yet they are hailed by these corrupt individuals to sit in that building while these people are demonized. That's the purpose of the stream today. Thank you all for tuning in. I appreciate it. This is switched to a different phone. Not nearly as good a quality, so it's darker and a little bit grainy. That was this phone here. It's just a regular phone, not high quality like my other phone was. Boy, if I had this year. Anyway, yeah, so that was, okay, somebody wanted the link. I'll put it up there. Just 356 views, guys. I mean, after all this time. Yeah, nobody cares. I think Arctic is right. Nobody cares about January 6th. It was all set up. People were dumb enough to fall into it, and their lives were altered. Some lives were lost. And the Democrats got to create a false narrative about what happened on January 6th to be part of their forever fantasy about American history, just like so many other things. Yeah, there was no mayhem and murder. Even with people going into the Capitol building, the building wasn't burned. The paintings weren't ripped down. The columns weren't toppled. There was no graffiti paint on the inside. No government officials were assaulted. You know, it's crazy. The fact Supreme Court didn't take Texas versus Pennsylvania case says it all. Exactly, Duncan Yoda. Exactly right. Yep. Exactly. They said that Texas had no standing, but that's not true. The voters of Texas, arguably under the Texas argument, were defrauded of their electoral vote because of what happened in Pennsylvania. And who was the Attorney General? Josh Shapiro. Who's our governor now? Josh Shapiro. Kelly Bukvar was the Secretary of State, and Tom Wolf was the evil governor, while little Josh was the Attorney General, failing to uphold the rule of law, allowing all kinds of shenanigans. The state of Pennsylvania passed Act 77 in October of 2019, just after I left active duty. I think it was the 16th or 19th of October. And Act 77 allowed for mail-in ballots before COVID was even discovered. Mail-in ballots. And by the way, the Republicans bear guilt for this. They were a party to this legislation. They had a majority in the House, a majority in the Senate, and they voted for it and let the Democratic governor sign it into law. And then in August of 2020, because Tom Wolf, the fascist criminal who deserves to be stripped of his immunity and prosecuted for his crimes against the people of Pennsylvania, Tom Wolf announced publicly that we are going to ignore Act 77. In other words, you can put your mail-in ballots without a signature, violation of law, without dating it, violation of law. You'll be able to drop it off at a drop box, which is unsecure, unguarded, violation of the law. And it can come in after the election, violation of law, for 10 days. Every one of those things violates Commonwealth law. What is the purpose of passing a law to make voting easier, and then you simply violate it to make voting fraudulent? In my view, my estimation, every one of our votes in the 2020 election was invalid because Tom Wolfe, Kelly Bukvar, and Josh Shapiro encouraged fraud by their actions. There were no gates. What are you making up there? Dogzilla, you just saw the footage. There's no gates. There's no gates. They're bicycle racks. Dude, what are you talking about? I just showed you the foot. See, you show the proof to the left, and they still live in a fantasy world. There were no gates. No gates. The doors to the Capitol building were open. Did people break in the building? Yes. We have video footage of people breaking in a window. Absolutely. We have video footage of people on the south side of the building forcing their way in. But there are no gates. No gates. Dude, they're bicycle racks. A goat could knock that barrier over. Yeah, why the hell did they break down? There are no gates. Yeah, Josh Shapiro's a moron. Yeah. Yep. All right, they're not going to care. They've left that video up without... I've never had any complaints about the video from YouTube. There's nothing wrong with it. It's just footage. It's news footage of the events that unfolded the day. Yep, it's crazy. But, I mean, seriously, come on. Come on. I mean, I just showed the footage. Gates. What gates? What gates? Again, insufficient presence, unprotected barriers, or unprotected tower, allow people allowed to climb up on it. Police officers coming out in bicycle helmets. What the hell are they wearing bicycle? And it wasn't one of them. It was most of them. Only a few of them showed up with proper riot gear. And that was only after things got a little testy. Look, this was all intentional. And the people who harassed the cops should have been arrested. I said it then. But here's the most telling part about it. Here's the most telling part about it. You're right, Dogzilla, you're correct. The criminals who broke in should be arrested. But most of the people that went in the building were welcomed into the building, invited. They opened the doors because the cops were scared or something. They let them in. They opened the doors. They let them. They have video footage of the cops opening the doors, letting people in. Those who forced their way in are breaking the law. Frankly, none of them belong in there. It's all a misdemeanor, though. It doesn't deserve jail time. The people who broke in, different story. Different story. But here's the thing. Why were the cops wearing bicycle helmets with no firearms? Why were there no Jersey barriers erected? Why was there no fencing put up? Because the fencing went up the next couple of days later. When crooked Joe Biden became president, suddenly we had fencing that was 6 feet high and reinforced all the way around the Capitol. And for a year, we couldn't even advance on the Capitol. I went there for the stop the jab rally that RFK and what's his name? The two rappers. I can't think of the name right now. Yeah. Cell phone. You can buy an iPhone. Yeah. I don't know about that. Nobody tried to hunt down Pence. What are you talking about? What? That's hyperbole. Who? Name who hunted him. Who hunted Pence down? You sound like AOC. Oh, I was terrified. My life. She was in the tunnel over to the Rayburn office building. No one even got close to that. No, it's an underground tunnel that runs between the Capitol building and the Rayburn office building so they don't have to walk on the street and make themselves targets. I've been there. How many of you have been there? Anybody been inside the Rayburn office building or the Capitol building? Raise your hand. Well, you can't really raise it in chat unless you got a little emoji. Who's been in the Rayburn office building? I have. Who's been in the Capitol building? I have. Yeah. Okay. She was never in any danger. She's an idiot. Dogzilla, you are correct. The lack of adequate security does not make criminals any less guilty. You are correct. 100%. You heard me tell people to stop the nonsense and we're acting the fool. But that doesn't make it an insurrection. That's comical. That's comical. How did the massive magnetic lock doors of the Capitol building get unlocked? Who hit the switch from inside? See? Yep. You can't just push those doors open. Again, I've been to the Capitol building. There's no bicycle shorts, just bicycle helmets. During 24 covering of the county, it went offline in questions. Yeah, well, that's a whole other story. Yeah. No, but January 6th was a scam in so many ways. And it was used as a political scam. Liz Cheney, Adam, and Kinzinger ought to be brought up on charges for the fraud they perpetrated on the American people, along with the entire scam that was on the January 6th committee. All of them. They're all scam artists. Yeah, she tweeted that she was in fear of her life. They wanted to grab, who wanted to grab Mike Pence? I mean, that's what the media tell you. Guys, did you see anybody out there? And now I'm not saying it's impossible, but where did you see the pitchforks and tars and feathers going, get Pence, get Pence? Did you see that? Did you hear anybody saying get Pence? You can go watch the whole video. I posted the link. And there's more footage, but that's all that was. The rest of it was boring. That's what I put together. And besides, people don't want to watch more than an hour of that stuff. Who was trying to get Pence? By the way, I've met Pence. You guys know this, right? I don't know if I took it out of here yet. Let me see. Been so busy since I came back, I haven't even time to breathe, let alone do things. Oh, maybe I took it out already. Yeah, it looks like I've taken it out already. So if I did, it'll be in this drawer. Let me check. I think I showed on this program once before. It's here. I don't see it. Where the hell is it at? I don't see it here. Where the hell I put it at? Well, it's somewhere. It's somewhere here, but I met Mike Pence in Chicago at the airport. He seems to be perfectly fine. Gave me a coin. Yeah, Vice President Pence gave me a coin. We talked for about 10 minutes at the airport in Chicago. Yep, that's not it. That's my Colonel coin, Colonel Challenge coin. Where the hell are things at? I mean, I had all this stuff here before, so. It came with one door getting a Pence, listen to his account of it. Who is they? And what were they armed with? Mean words? Yeah, and where was his Secret Service detail? He was a sitting vice president. Anyway, that's just silly, folks. Enough of that nonsense. January 6th. Anyway. Yep. 356 views. That's it. 356 views. 3 years. Ah, boy. Yep. Anyway. I'm going to change the title. See if that does it. A 97 title. 86. That's a better title. So I just changed the title. Maybe that'll get people to look at it. So anyway. Yep, can't believe that was 6 years ago. Yeah, Biden sure kept us occupied with his stupidity. You're right about that. You are right about that. Absolutely, 100%. So I've got 3 games tomorrow, and I'll do the news, folks. Just an abbreviated 1-hour version of the news. So I'll be on at 7:30 Eastern for the Lions, hosting the Scarlets at Ellis Park. Then at 10 o'clock, it's the Sharks hosting Ulster at Kings Park in Durban, a game that I went to a few years ago. Erica was there with me. Erica and CB. I flew down from Joburg to Durban and had a rental car, went down, caught the game. We had a meet and greet after the game over there at the casino at the Indian restaurant. It was kind of nice. Yeah, so that was a game. It was Ulster because Dwayne Vermeulen was playing for Ulster at that time. So I remember that game a couple years ago. And so it's a rematch of that. And then the third game will be at 2:30 Eastern Standard Time, 8:30 South Africa time, will be the Zebra Parma hosting the Stormers in Italy. Okay? Oh, yeah, that's right. That was the height of COVID. Look at all the people terrified about COVID. All right, Del Marie, have a good one there. Gallows. There were no gallows. There were no gallows. Oh my God. You actually believe this stuff. Do you see any gallows there? Do you see any gallows? There were effigies of officials, but there are no gallows. There were fake little... Gosh, gallows. Oh, people believe anything the media feeds them, even when they see the evidence in front of their face. I showed you events for over 4 hours. I arrived at 10 o'clock on the mall, exactly at 10 o'clock after parking at a military base and walking there. And I was there until 2:25, 4.5 hours. Do you see any gallows? Do you see anybody threatening anybody? All you see is a couple people acting like fools in front of the Capitol building, and then nothing had happened when I left. Yeah, anyway. People can be very gullible, Phoenix. Yep. And this is before AI. No, he wants to do off with the hip. Okay, Dogzilla, you're hearing what you want to hear. You're hearing what you want to hear. See, that's what people on the left do. They hear what they want to hear. What did I say? I said the COVID scam. I didn't say COVID was a scam. Are you listening? I said the COVID scam. What was the COVID scam? The suppression of our constitutional rights. The abuse of Americans and people around the world. Locking people down. The false reaction to a pandemic. Never in human history have we reacted in such an asinine fashion to a pandemic. You do not end a pandemic by taking the actions that governments took. Suspending personal liberties, freedom of speech, freedom of assembly, freedom of gathering, by limiting people and isolating people. You do not do that. The way you deal with a pandemic is you isolate the vulnerable. Preferably with physical barriers so that things can't get to them. You quarantine the infected. We used to have leper colonies. Sad, unfair, but effective. The lepers went to colony so people didn't get leprosy. Isolate, quarantine, and the rest of the population goes about their business. The healthy population goes about their business. And what happens? The virus burns out because it can't take hold. That's how you deal with a pandemic. That's how we dealt with every pandemic when we had a reasonable response to it. Yes, and COVID was BLM proof. BLM was everywhere in the streets, torching, burning everything. The Summer of Love 2020. That didn't matter. They're running around without masks, taking over Seattle's courthouse and declaring their own autonomous zone, their own country. Dude, stop hearing what you want to hear. I did not say that COVID was a scam. I believe in science. Unlike the left, I actually believe in science. Life begins at conception. Mitosis. Cells divide. Life has begun. That's science. COVID is a virus composed of rioxynucleic acid, recombinant acid, RNA, recombinant. Oh, I can't speak tonight. RNA. It's real. It kills people who have compromised immune systems, not healthy people for the most part. The scam was suspending and stealing our rights and freedoms and destroying businesses around the world and tens of millions of jobs, hundreds of millions of jobs. That's the scam. Now you've gone quiet, Dogzilla. Now you've gone quiet. And what was the other thing you said? Global warming is a scam. Global warming is a bumper sticker. There's no such thing as global warming. Climate change, they got smart and changed it to climate change. Climate change happens every day. Today it's sunny, tomorrow it's cold. There are long-term trends. We had a mini ice age 1,000 years ago. The Thames froze in summertime. Krakatoa exploded 75,000 years ago and blanketed the entire atmosphere in soot and dark mist for over a year or something like that, lowering global temperatures, leading to a mass die-off of many species from one volcano. Climate change is real. Climate does change. But the arrogance, the hubris of human beings think that they are the ones altering the climate of this planet. Despite the fact there are 8 billion of us pissing and crapping all over this planet, our influence on this planet is not nearly as great as people claim it is. But there are things we can do to make the world a better place. We stop using chlorofluorocarbons, CFCs, for the most part. Most of them were superfluous and not necessary. We replaced them with other things for refrigerant and for other uses. And as a consequence, the ozone layer has naturally restored itself. It's back. It's recovered. The ozone hole over the Antarctic is almost non-existent every year now. Whereas in 1976, when the Montreal Protocol was enacted, we were in good bad shape here. Acid rain is almost a thing of the past over the northeastern forest of Canada, over Ontario and Quebec. America's industrial sector used to pollute the skies of Canada and destroy its timber. Thing of the past. The Cuyahoga River caught on fire once upon a time in the 1970s. It was so polluted. A thing of the past. But, what did I say? The green sea turtle's population has surged 24% since efforts went in place to protect it. So, we can have an impact. Anyway. Mossel Bay, we have climate change and hourly. That's true, Mossel Bay. That's true. Money talks to humans fold. Nikki says your insurmountable knowledge rocks, Colonel. Seriously admirable. So no more hole in the ozone layer. No wonder we can't go to the moon anymore. Yeah, well, the carbon tax is a scam. It's just a way to steal money and impoverish the wealthy, to enrich people who haven't earned anything. So I lived in Liberia, and a Canadian company had a contract with German power company RWE and others to cut down the rubber trees, because rubber trees only have a period of production for like 15 years, 20 years, something like that. They stop producing the sap, and then they're just trees. So they cut them down. They chop them up into pulp. They planted new trees. They burn those trees to produce electricity in Liberia. And they were given credits, not for burning the trees, because what did burning trees do? Burning trees release carbon. They planted new trees. So here's the deal. They got paid tens of millions of dollars to burn trees, releasing carbon into the atmosphere, releasing more carbon today. And it would take decades before the trees, the saplings, grow up and become productive trees in 10 or 15 years, and then start absorbing all of that carbon out of the air. Meanwhile, they're burning all the trees now and producing carbon. And the Germans are paying them for carbon offsets so that they aren't castigated for burning coal and lignite. Do you see how stupid this is? How stupid it is. It's a scam. It's a scam. They're producing more carbon. It's like solar panels. Oh, solar panels will save the planet because they reduce pollution. No, they don't. No, they don't. It takes rare earth elements that have to be mined. Entire mountainsides and water tables have to be destroyed in order to get a few pounds of rare earth elements to make these panels. Then they're manufactured in China in polluting factories, put onto ships that burn kerosene, polluting the atmosphere, shipping them all over the world. Then they're shipped on trucks in multiple locations. Then they're picked up and shipped in other places in cars and trucks, and they're mounted individually on houses and buildings and shopping malls. And after 10 to 12 years, you finally get to the point where the amount of carbon saved by collecting solar energy over those 10 to 12 years equals the pollution you've produced in just making the panels and installing them. It's all a scam, man. At least COVID cements our belief that politicians are stupid. Yep. Well, people eating turtles and people hunting them, and also hunting to extinction, and also just like the Maori did in frickin' New Zealand, hunting all the birds. They hunted the moai, all these birds to death, wiped them all out. Yeah, having talked about lithium mining and leaching of stuff into the soil. Yep. Ice caps and glaciers are melting. Actually, the Antarctic ice has increased. If you look at the reports on this, multiple reports released in the past couple of years indicate that the Antarctic ice. Now there's still calving going on, huge calving coming from the Larsen Shelf, but the actual amount of coverage in Antarctica has increased over the past several years. It contradicts the arguments and models they make. But yes, we shouldn't pollute the atmosphere. That's a silly idea. I agree, Dogzilla. But we shouldn't bankrupt and starve ourselves because people are full of hubristic concepts. Yeah, well, it's like and I heard John Stossel do this one time because I've always been a big recycler. I recycle paper and batteries, especially, but glass. I try to recycle as much plastic as possible, and of course, aluminum. But John Stossel made the argument that recycling glass is not financially viable. It's uneconomic, and it's also not really productive. And he explained it very well, and he has a big argument on it. The amount of pollution produced in collecting the bottles, transporting the bottles, and then melting them down and repurposing them and sorting them, because you can't put white glass with brown glass with green glass, they're separate, really makes it a net negative. And John Sossel's probably right, but that doesn't stop me from recycling bottles of glass. I just don't want broken glass all the place. Some islands are already disappearing from rising sea levels. Yes, Arctic or Dogzilla, you are correct. Some islands are disappearing, and many islands were created about 8,000 years ago when ice was accumulated in the northern hemisphere, and the Öland Islands off the coast of Finland appeared out of the Baltic Sea. They did not exist. The Öland Islands are only, 12,000 years? Let's take a look at that. Let me see how long ago it was. So, there we go, an autonomous region of Finland. Let's take a look here. Okay, you guys can take this journey with me. There it is. That's beautiful. It's an archipelago of islands. Population of 30,654, 0.5% of Finland's area, and 0.5% of its population. The official language is Swedish, and the capital is Mariehamn, Marie's harbor. I'm trying to see where it says it was created. Autonomy, etymology, history. 7,000 years ago, people from the Combe ceramic culture began settling the Öland Islands about 7,000 years ago after the land started rising from the sea following the last ice age. Öland became a meeting point for two Neolithic cultures. So look at that, folks. The Öland Islands. There they are down there, a little red spot. The bottom of Finland, right there. On the bottom side. Gorgeous. They didn't exist 8,000 years ago. They were buried under sea until glaciation sucked the water up and lowered the water level in the Gulf of Bothnia. And now we have the Öland Islands. Life is fascinating. The planet is amazing. Things change all the time. Shark pollution. We have sharks dying every weekend. Fonz is burning jerseys. Greta Thunberg will flotilla your house. Yeah. Kathy, what's going on? Struggling with morning stream. Sorry to hear that. I trip on knowledge. Okay. The Great Barrier Reef has died and recovered like 6 times in my life. Yeah, it is. The Great Barrier Reef in Australia is recovering now. It was in bad shape. It was burning off. Yep. But it's recovering. Yep. Again, but that doesn't mean we should be irresponsible. But the hysteria that people put out there is used to steal money from our pockets. It's used to steal money from our pockets. That's the bottom line. People lie. I loved Trump's speech at the United Nations when he called it the greatest scam in history. It was fantastic. It was fantastic. Unbelievable. Yep. So see, now, Dogzilla's bemused. He doesn't know what to say because I'm talking about protecting the planet. But at the same time, I'm calling the climate change a scam, as I am, because people use it in a scam-like fashion. Greta Thunberg, destroy the world. Really? Where's this? Where's her anger? Her concern about the planet? She's busy virtue signaling in the Mediterranean. Gaza. Medical relief, humanitarian. No medical supplies, no food on any of the boats. They're just virtue signaling asshats, including Mandela's grandson or nephew or whatever the hell he is, Mandela. Channel where people comment their homegrown veggies are all of a sudden struggling to grow and bear fruit. Comments from all over the world. Well, I was just 3 years ago getting massive, huge production from my raspberry plants, but not now. And I strongly suspect it's because the soil's depleted. I haven't fertilized it properly because it's a bed I put together. I put the soil in there myself. Yep. Thank you for the insights. Great show. All right. Well, it is late. It's an hour and a half into this, and we've had a good audience that's built all the way through this. I want to thank you all for being here tonight. Anyway, so I hope you enjoyed the footage from January 6th. By the way, I want to make one final comment about January 6th. And for those who are long-term viewers, you know exactly what I'm talking about. I am a federal law enforcement official, a counterintelligence agent. I'm retired now from that role, but can be activated and do that at any time. I carried a badge of credentials, and I investigated people who violated the Espionage Acts and had acts of treason against our country, and protected our country by putting barriers and measures in place to stop cyber attacks, to stop people from stealing classified documents and transmitting them and being recruited by foreign intelligence services, and went after hostile intelligence services in my career. One of the things I do is report on Well, when I was serving, not now. But at that event on January 6th, I had footage, which I did not include in that video, of people inciting riot and the crowd not falling for it. I sent still photographs to the FBI within 48 hours after they created a website asking for tips about January 6th. A federal law enforcement official, I sent them footage of people intentionally trying to incite the crowd. They have my information. They know who I am. I identify myself. I have never heard from the FBI. Not once. Do you know why? Do you know why I never heard from the FBI? Because I don't have footage of people entering the Capitol building. They didn't care about the people who were put into the crowd by whomever to incite violence and stoke a riot. They didn't care about that, which raises all kinds of questions. Why don't they care about the instigators? All they want to do is put the 68-year-old grandmother who was dumb enough to walk into the Capitol building in prison and destroy her life. That's all they care about. I have no footage of people walking into the building because I wasn't there when that happened. I left at 2:25. That happened shortly after that when I was on my way back to my car, and I didn't even know about it. They didn't want footage of the instigators. Video footage, I offered to them as well. I gave them a short snippet and sent them. They don't want that. They never contacted me because none of that video supports the lie that there was an insurrection. It would expose the people who were responsible for it, whether they're Antifa or Trump supporters or undercover FBI agents or whoever they are. I don't care who they were, and I'm not claiming who they are. But the people in the crowd who were intentionally trying to incite it, they had no interest in them. All they wanted was the tonies who went in the building so they could foment a fake insurrection and run their bullshit narrative. Now, I'm telling you that as a federal law enforcement official, it is extremely odd to me. I mean, if anybody sent you pictures in, you think you would turn to the person who's actually trained to identify people who are instigators and start trouble in a crowd, a person trained to identify agents. You would think that you would be interested in what they have to say. Nope. Never heard from them. Never heard from them. Now, why is that? Well, maybe they were too busy. Maybe they got so many tips. But 5 years later, I still haven't heard from them. What was Dogzill's last comment? Some short-sighted fiscal one who's talking about money. Which scam argument, Dogzilla? The COVID scam or the green the green energy scam? Which scam? Which one are you talking about? Anyway, all right. Light Rain, I don't know if Dogzilla blocked you. Anyway, thanks for being here, folks. I hope you found it interesting. And we take a look back it'll be 2026, it'll be 5 years. Yep, January 6th. The scam. There were criminals, and I said it on that day. And I said it on that video. That video is still on my channel, by the way, when I was in the Costco parking lot in Frederick, Maryland, after I talked to Ronaldo. He was worried about my safety. And after I left D.C. and I was headed north, and my phone kept blowing up, so I pulled over at a Starbucks before I got to Frederick and talked to Ronaldo. And he said, do you see Trump is telling people to go home and respect the rule of law? He's on Twitter doing it right now. So I put on Twitter, and there was Trump. And then there wasn't Trump because Twitter deleted his account and said that, he incited a riot. But there's 2 Twitter videos of Trump telling people to go home, behave, respect the rule of law. But they deleted that. Talk about a scam and a cover-up. Jack Dorsey should be in prison. That's where Jack Dorsey belongs. Not a wealthy man sitting around running his mouth about things and licking the boots of the current administration. Jack Dorsey and his crowd should be in prison. Those people tried to destroy this country, and they got away with it. They silenced speech they didn't like. They attacked accounts of people they didn't like. The audacity of these shitheads to attack me, 36 years defending their right to freedom of speech, and then they deny me my freedom of speech? We still have a lot of loss. Still have a lot of revenge time here. That's what the Democrats are calling it. Going after the criminals, they're calling it revenge. People who broke the law, going after them, that's called revenge. No, it's called the rule of law. They thought they would rule into perpetuity and they could continue to violate the Constitution and deny Americans their right to freedom of speech, freedom of assembly, and freedom of worship. Well, there's a new sheriff in town named Donald John Trump. Never thought of him. They tried to assassinate him twice that we know of. They tried to bury him in debt with excessive bail, in violation of the Constitution. They had excessive judgments against him for a crime he never committed, to right a wrong that doesn't exist, to compensate victims that do not exist. They tried to falsely claim that he tried to overturn an election in Georgia, which was a lie. They spied on him with illegitimate, unlawful warrants, falsely obtained by James Comey, Peter Strzok, Lisa Page, Bruce Orr, defrauding the FISA court, the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Act court, lying to judges, failing to disclose that Carter Page was a CIA asset, a source for the CIA in Russia. The failure to do so negates everything. Everything after that is the fruit of the poisonous tree. And it's also a criminal act. James Comey shouldn't be on trial for contempt of Congress or lying to Congress. He should be on trial for defrauding the American people in the FISA court. James Comey is a criminal. Peter Strzok, Bruce Orr, Lisa Page, all of them, they belong in prison. The greatest scandal in American history, perpetrated by the Democrats entirely, and a few of their Republican friends. Defrauding the American people, the greatest country in the history, stealing elections, stealing votes, stealing the narrative, imprisoning people for misdemeanor crimes as if they're felons, destroying their lives. By the way, today Trump commuted the sentence of George Santos, sent to jail for being an idiot, but he got 7 years in federal prison, which is a bit excessive. So Trump commuted his sentence today, so he's out. He didn't give him a pardon. He's still convicted of the crimes, but he commuted his sentence, so he served his time. Millions of Americans tomorrow will express their freedom of speech, whether it's all great. Well, Dogzilla, some people. Millions, I think that's probably a lot more than we expect. But there will be lots of Americans who run around and claim that Trump is king tomorrow. But they weren't there to recognize that Barack Hussein Obama murdered American citizens. He sent drone strikes against American citizens without a trial, without habeas corpus, without any evidence. Simply murdered them because he could. And he sits around and pontificates about Donald Trump and how America's democracy is a threat. Really? If I was an American living abroad, I would fear for my life under Barack Hussein Obama, because if he doesn't like you, he just sends a drone after you. Maldives are only sinking during spring tide once a month. Exactly, Jean Pence. That's correct. I always talk about the Maldives, but they're still there. They told me 25 years ago the Maldives were threatened and were being overlapped, but they're still there. Anyway, so remember the 1970s? The global freeze, the coming ice age. Where's that ice age? They got it wrong. The hubris of humans. Really, we are a very hubristic species. The problem is we can think. And that's also the problem. We can't think as a species. All right, folks, that's it. Going to wrap it up. It's late. I got to get up for the rugby at 7 o'clock, and it's in about 6 hours. So you guys have a good one. See you. I will be back on this channel with the news, but I've got rugby twice, and then the news, and then one more rugby game. All right, thanks for being here. Be sure to hit the like button. And wear a sign, wear a sign. Oh, there it is. There's my mind's going blank. I was looking for that.
My mind's going blank.
I couldn't find that the other day. There it is. It was right there all along. I wonder what happened to it. All righty, folks. Good night. Cheers. Take care.